policing the police every single day.
And cue the music. I am Leroy Truth. Welcome, everyone. I am Leroy Truth for Leroy Truth Investigations, because the truth matters. And, oh, hold on. I've got echo here because I have simultaneously myself on my phone here. Now, I want to thank everyone for joining me. And first order of business is this show has a very special guest, Andrew Sheets, who is the most banned First Amendment activist on YouTube. He had over 70 million views on his channel. And this platform here that you're watching this on, bam, gone. Doesn't like the First Amendment. Hates the First Amendment, unfortunately. So first order of business, if you would hit a like on this video now, and I'll remind people throughout this broadcast, and if my moderator. So now I want to introduce to you Andrew Sheets. And he was a prolific, or is a prolific YouTuber. He is the most banned First Amendment activist in the history of YouTube. And I'm very grateful that he was open to sharing his message with my viewers and my subscribers and my future subscribers. And let's get Andrew Sheets on here. And he's coming from an undisclosed location in the United States. And I want Andrew to tell his story. So first of all, Andrew, welcome, welcome, welcome. It's great to have you here today.
Thank you.
And so let's talk about where you started. Like, when did you start your YouTube channel?
All right, so the story is 10 years ago, I had a bad neighbor, turned into a stalker. I took him to court. The sheriff was helping me, and when I got to court, he hired a lawyer. I thought I had a clear-cut case. Everything was documented. And they got the deputy that was helping me on my case to turn around and destroy me, and I lost the case. And at that moment, that's when I found out how dirty the system was. I found out about Copwatch. And what a lot of people don't know, and you do this, Leroy, and a lot of auditors do it, and they don't. I found out one thing, they police you every day. So that's why the beginning of my videos, policing the police every single day. Just because your government polices you every day, you should police the police every day. And what I found out, as you know, Leroy, pulling records and exposing it on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok is unbelievable. When you're not shadow banned. When you're shadow banned, it sucks because hardly anybody sees it. But in the beginning, yes, I was one of the biggest YouTube channels for auditing online, and me and my wife could not believe it. She's not involved in this, but she was there at the beginning. She freaked out. I was like some of the other auditors. In the beginning, we made money. I was up to 1,500 9 years ago, and it just would have went ballistic from there. We're at 70 million views, 4 million views a month, 70,000 subscribers. I had backup channels, and it all disappeared. And what we found out is through pulling records is Charlotte County government and the Punta Gorda police, both, we have the documents to prove this. Like Leroy, pulling records is everybody has to do it, and they need to expose it when you get them. It's useless if you're sitting on it. We found out they literally paid a lawyer to make a class to teach everybody in Punta Gorda and Charlotte County that if there is something online that they did not like, to strike it down. And Leroy, for a government employee to do that, that is totally illegal and unconstitutional, but they do not give a shit. They don't care. They did it anyways.
Right. And you know what? Ladies and gentlemen, the reason the governments have gotten away with this and why they become so bad is because of us. It's our fault. It's my fault. it's Andrew's fault. It's each of your faults until we start attending meetings, until we start demanding accountability from our government officials. It's our fault. But the thing is, if it's our fault, that means we can fix it. And that's what I'm doing. That's what Andrew's doing. And that's what each of you can do in your own way locally by making sure that your local so-called government leaders are held accountable. And so you have this huge, big following, huge amount of views on your channel, and you start getting shadow banned. And why do you think you started getting shadow banned? Oh, by the way, before you go on, anyone who's just joined us, welcome to Leroy Truth Investigations. I am Leroy Truth. Special guest, Andrew Sheets, incredible First Amendment activist, a fearless First Amendment activist. So why do you think you started getting shadow banned?
Okay, so the reason why I believe I got started getting shadow banned is because, like I said, I was pulling records and exposing it. I believe, like a lot of people were not doing in the beginning, and still a lot of auditors, aren't doing that. And one of the biggest stories was already across the screen. One of the biggest stories that I found 3 to 4 years ago is we pulled records. A friend of mine that lives near me said, "Can you please pull records on me? I think the cops are investigating me." And he was scared to do it, so he asked me to do it. And it's the biggest story that we broke. We found out that he was in a database in Charlotte County, Florida, for guns. In Florida, we are not supposed to have a list of gun owners because, as you know, they can abuse that list and and do just like Germany did. Find out who has them and when they want to cut you off. So we found out he was on this list. We found out it's a third-degree felony, $5 million fine. My sheriff was involved. It was unbelievable. The list literally said he bought a gun, so we need to investigate him to find out what he's going to do with the gun, where it might go. He was absolutely profiling him. It was unbelievable. So in our statute, it talks about how you have to give the information to the state attorney. Oh, and you can give it to the state attorney general. So first we gave it to the state attorney, Amira Fox. She said, are you ready for this, Leroy? She said the list is not a list. Did you hear what I just said?
Oh, this is government speak. Andrew, I understand what she meant. The list is not a list. It's not
That's
what
correct.
you think it is. It's just a
That's
list.
It's that bad. So it gets worse. We actually had a chance to give it to State Attorney General Ashley Moody. The cops have a pat each other on the back dinner once a year. Me and my friend that we found on the list went to that dinner. We gave the evidence to the State Attorney General, Ashley Moody, and guess who came up, Leroy, and took her away from me as I was giving her the evidence? Our sheriff. Is that dirty or what? He took me away while giving evidence of his crime, which is a crime in itself.
That is egregiously wrong. And then what happened after he did that?
Okay, so after he did that, sadly, as you know, and many that are watching, the government investigating themselves is pretty freaking useless nowadays. It went nowhere. We literally had there's a gun rights group here that blew smoke up my ass and my wife's ass that we're going to be, freaking rich off of this because we broke the biggest gun rights violation story in Florida. It should have been huge, massive lawsuit. And even they fucked it up and it went nowhere. In fact, it since it went nowhere and everybody knew that it was going nowhere, the sheriff even finally admitted he had the list and he admitted it and he knew that he could admit it because he knew it wasn't going to go anywhere. Disgusting.
Wow. It is. And I talk a lot about First Amendment, and I haven't talked as much about Second Amendment, but I am a staunch Second Amendment advocate. And every single gun law is a shredding and a violation of the Second Amendment. Shall not be
Correct.
infringed, period. I grew up, Andrew, on 55 acres of land, forest land. My father
Right.
taught me how to shoot when I was 6 years old. He told me how to shoot responsibly. Every
That's
year for
awesome.
Christmas, he'd give me a bigger gun. I became an expert sharpshooter by the time I was about 12. And
Excellent.
and everyone has a right to defend themselves with whatever tool they want, whether it's a hammer, a knife, their fists, or a firearm. And so I just want to underline that in our discussion of rights. And I used to think the NRA, by the way, as a bit of an aside, but not, was the good, they were the good guys. And I used to dream
Nope.
of becoming a member of the NRA. And about 10 years ago, I joined. I was like, I got my card. And by the way, for some strange reason, it got me off of 3 tickets one day.
Right.
And I actually deserved all 3 tickets, but I kept showing the NRA card to the police officer, and he kept asking me, why are you doing that? I don't even know why I did. He ended up letting me go.
Right.
But what I found out is, they were the culprits behind the NICS laws, right? Or the NICS background checks and
Okay.
so forth. And like, that's major violation of the Second Amendment.
Correct.
So every right is sacred, and it can't be interpreted by some fancy people in the Supreme Court. Like, well, here's how we're going to interpret it. I don't need freaking interpretation for thou shall not be infringed for the Second Amendment or for the First Amendment, right? To religion, assembly, speech, and whatever else we're going to do there. Those are sacred human rights. So then, what happened after you had just shared?
What happened after that was, again, like I said, nothing. They did nothing. So here's another thing that I think led to my getting shadow banned from online. Of course, I was not the first auditor filming government officials, okay? But I don't know if have you heard of a guy that used to be here called Ian McGuire, Hate the State?
No.
Okay, so himself and myself, we were both going into government offices, filming, exposing government corruption, asking for records, filing complaints, and it was unbelievable, Leroy. This is another big thing for this video that a lot of people don't know, and a lot of people do know. They banned filming in public places of government officials in Punta Gorda and Charlotte County. You will be trespassed. Leroy, I have lost count how many times I've been trespassed. You can appeal it in kangaroo court. It's under Code Nazis. And our kangaroo court here in Punta Gorda is 7 rich white people. So that's kind of useless. Charlotte County, they literally hire a lawyer to act as a judge. Of course, he's going to judge for them because that's who's paying him. So I got a lawyer years ago, and that's how a lot of people know me also, is Sheets versus City of Punta Gorda. We went to federal court. That's how I was telling Kara about this. Our federal Fort Myers court down here is so far to the right, they hate freedom and free speech. So we took it there, and we couldn't believe it. We got shot down for filming public officials in a public place. We shut the case down because they thought they were going to get me to pay for all the lawyer fees. So we shut it down. The case was never finished. And now they're using my case as case law nationwide to violate people's rights for filming in public places. In fact, Leroy, it emboldened our police here in the Punta Gorda police station, where, I don't know if you heard about this, there was a couple people that went in there filming in a public lobby of the police station where they have cameras everywhere. They were asking for records, filing a complaint, and they were beat. Leroy, they beat them for filming in a public lobby, charged them with the crime, and they were both found guilty.
My God, I heard about that. And was that Sean Berry? Was that Sean Berry by chance?
So that was not, Sean Berry was there that day. It was a YouTuber called Catch You Later and another one called Yin Yang. Yin Yang fears the court here because if you get a jury here, we are a retirement community of all old retired people that swear by the government because Leroy, that's where they got their money from, right? Okay.
Right.
So, so sadly, I found out, we're not to the story yet, but I found out by going to a jury trial that they'll believe whatever they say, and I lost for free speech. So when he saw that he was going to end up going to a jury trial, he took a plea, he took probation because they knew he would get fried. Catch You Later actually did fight it all the way to jury, had a jury, and even though videos show that he was illegally assaulted for free speech, free press, filming the police. They found him guilty, Leroy, jailed him again, put him on big probation, felony offense, by the way. And now they tried to appeal it because the judge would not let the jury know that you can fight a false arrest, as you know. And so now they're going for an appeal to the 6th District Court, which I got to be honest, Leroy, that's a brand new appeals court here. I've been in that court 3 times for different appeals, Leroy, and they are all right-wing fascists again. They slap down everything we brought them, Leroy. It is disgusting.
My God.
It's bad.
And when I heard about Punta Gorda and them passing an ordinance, which of course is unconstitutional,
Correct.
that was incredibly disturbing because now other municipalities are going to say, oh, they did it. Now
That's
we
correct.
can do it. And so there's a domino effect. And that's why we have to stop this. We have to nip it in the bud. And by the way, there's one of your videos. I haven't watched this one yet, but I may play it if you think it's good to play. It's Copwatch gets Punta Gorda cops illegal investigation on him. If you film, it's felony wiretap. Is that a good one to share?
I don't even remember that one.
Okay. Well, I'm going to play a little. Maybe I'll skip around. And I usually review everyone what I do here. But just we're talking about this. And by the way, I know Punta Gorda well because my parents used to winter there for 25 years in a place called Eagle Point. There's a retirement community there. So I used to visit them all the time. Punta Gorda, Port Charlotte, and so forth. So I'm going to share a bit of this, ladies and gentlemen, and let me skip around. I haven't seen this, so forgive me for that. But this bears watching a bit. So I'm going to share my screen here and share. And it should be here, band to film. Hopefully get the right one here. That's not the one. Let's see. Try this one. Yeah, this is it.
Copwatch, policing the police every single day. Instead of investigating the corrupt cop, they investigated me. It was a freaking bunch of shit. So I was there today. I unfortunately paid money for this crap. I couldn't wait because we do got a civil rights lawyer that is looking at the case, and so I wanted to get the documents for her. But so this is what we got. And this is interesting. If anybody wants to contact this corrupt freaking lawyer, emails.
Let's skip ahead a little bit here.
Yep. Wow. So this is Mokta, man.
Here we go.
God damn it, you motherfuckers! You stole my money. I'm gonna file a charge. Take your goddamn country back, sheeple.
We got some video coming up here now.
All right. I was gonna say I don't remember that.
Included within the complaint is a paragraph alleging Andrew Sheets' rights were violated related to restrictions of him video recording inside the city clerk's office.
Yep.
Another paragraph and subsequent page were related to a wire intercept case which was not related to this incident nor did it specifically address the city's ordinance. The remainder of the documents provided were related to a 11th Circuit Court of Appeals case from 2011 that found a municipal ordinance authorizing the issuance of trespass warnings unconstitutional. The specific case from St. Petersburg surrounded public parks and trespass warnings. The facts in that case which resulted in trespass warnings being issued are not the same circumstances related to the incident involving Andrew Sheets. The ordinance in question is not a trespassing ordinance but one regulating conduct inside City Hall and the City Hall Annex Ordinance Section 1872-17 incorporated into 15-48, is titled Control of Access to City-Owned, Controlled, and Leased Property.
Right. And so what, just fill us in on more of that. Like what happened with this?
Okay, so like I said, I lost count of how many trespasses I got. Like I said, just because me and Ian McGuire, hate the state, were, asking for records, filing complaints, filming public officials in their public duty, public capacity, they made it illegal. Leroy, it is, there's another thing here in Florida that it's violating too. It's called Florida Sunshine Law. You have the right to, inspect documents for records law. You have the right to go to meetings. Punta Gorda, holy shit, you couldn't even appeal the trespass. Then I couldn't even go to the meetings. I couldn't even inspect documents. So, I mean, they violated so many laws by doing this. It's not even funny. And that video that you just showed, that's one of the ones that we were using in federal court to get our right back to film. But then, like I said, the judge went freaking totally stupid, hostile. Tons of people across the country have read this case, and it was an opinion. The case was never, ever finished. And now all of America is using this bullshit case law, which isn't even case law. It was never finished. I still cannot find another lawyer to take this case. Rogue Nation, he did try to file to reopen, to get a new case. He was struck down instantly in federal court. It's a mess. We need somebody down here like Kara that can get this case going again, because it totally violates free speech and free press.
Right. Excellent. And this is a great segue, because we want to talk about, we have people violating our rights, governors, mayors, selectmen, and so forth. They are shredding our rights. They're passing unconstitutional, illegal ordinances. But then so many people, when they get the rights violated, they don't have a lawyer that can help them. And if it's a public defender, God help us. I've had a public defender the first time I got arrested. It happened to be such a slam dunk wrong thing the police officer did, where my first arrest, I didn't do any activism at the time. It was about 30 years ago. And some of you know the story, some of you don't. Egregious. Like, you want to know my origin story, ladies and gentlemen, and Andrew? This is my origin story.
Yeah.
About 30 years ago, I was on a date. First date, met her at a dance. She was cute. I guess she thought I was cute. Went to a movie. I don't even remember what the movie was. Probably wasn't good. But afterwards, I said, hey, let's hang out. There's a park I grew up near. It's Middletown, New York. And so, yeah, we'll go there, hang out, make out for a little bit. There are no signs. There are no gates. Nothing says trespassing. Nothing says there's a time the park closes. So we're just hanging out. Nothing crazy. We are fully clothed, literally just making out. She was a pretty good kisser, too, I got to say. However, after only about, a minute or so, suddenly, there's this major bang, almost crashing on my driver's side window. Like, what the hell's going on? I turn, it's a police officer screaming at me. Screaming, license and registration, license and registration. I roll the window down, like, what? License registration, license registration. I ask him why. He's got to give me a reason. He just screams even louder, and he's out of control. And again, there was no escalation. I didn't say fuck you to him. I didn't give him a finger. I didn't say, who the hell are you? I literally rolled the window down. What's up? What's up, Doc? And he is screaming and turning purple and blue. And I'm asking him why. We didn't even get to, I'm not going to give you my license registration. I'm just asking him why. He didn't like that. So what he did is he pulled his service revolver out of his holster.
Wow.
And put the barrel of the weapon, I could still feel the cold steel of that 9mm on the left temple of my head with his finger on the trigger. And he then told me I'm under arrest. He arrested me. He arrested my date. She will never forget that date, I guarantee you. And handcuffed us both, of course. They brought us to the local police station. I think it was
Wow.
And they then do the whole thing, fingerprint, blah, 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 and pictures, and they release us on $20 bail. At the time, I had no money, so I get a public defender. the judge looks at the case like, what the hell are you guys doing here? And I think he did some AWS or something. If nothing happens, it's dismissed. And
Correct.
I didn't know then what I know now, Andrew, because I would have sued the shit out of that cop and the police department for excessive use of force, et cetera, whatever else it could be. And I was 1/8 inch of a trigger pull for. I mean, I didn't even have a chance to stand up for my constitutional rights. I just asked him why, and just went back a few times. So I understand what happens or what could happen when we exercise our rights. I also understand I got lucky having a public defender. So with that, I want to bring Kara up, and this is Kara Truth, and I'll have Kara introduce herself to us, and when she's back. And Liberty Warrior, is she back? And Kara Truth is a lawyer.
She has stepped away. She will be back momentarily. I don't think she was expecting you to bring her on just yet.
Yeah, we're already 35 minutes into the show, so I wanted to bring her up here. And
All right,
Kara,
Leroy.
yeah, go ahead, Andrew.
All right. Just so I don't forget, because there's so much shit that's happened here, and we can use it when she comes back up. Since all that happened, and I got shadow banned, the lawsuit went bad. They also, I think you know about this too, Leroy, and I believe Liberty the Lawyer knows this. 2 to 3 years ago, I finally went out on the street to start to protest with "Fuck Biden" flag. And just because I was doing that, Leroy, the court is out of control. They banned free speech, Leroy. They should have literally named it the Sheets Bill, because that's what it was. They literally banned free speech. Any word they didn't like, they would never tell us what the whole list of words is that they don't like, and they banned it. And it was supposed to go. It was supposed to be a warning, then a $100 ticket, then a $200 ticket, and Leroy, it went total south. So I went and got as many tickets as I could because I knew it was unconstitutional. And by the time I got to Code Nazi court, that's what I call it, because that's the one where it's 7 rich white people that are my judge and jury, which is nuts. When we went, they were doing 4 tickets on me, Leroy, at the first hearing that I had. I got so many, I stopped at 8. The lawyers told me, stop getting tickets. So here I was out there with all my, fuck Biden, fuck you, fuck the police, and all that shit. I was so pissed off. It made national news. It was all over TV, the papers, and
Well, pause a minute. I'm going to show a video of your laser.
Okay.
This is a short. So I'm going to show this to everyone.
Do it.
This is a short video here.
Yes.
And
show it.
share this and take a look at this. He's got a right to do it.
That's right.
Hey, Charlotte County, this is Charlotte County Copwatch. I don't know if this is showing up on the phone or not, but we are trying to laser on the car. They made a new law. You can't put it on a building unless you get permission.
Yep.
A whole lot of facets here that'll give permission for that. Hey, Charlotte County, this is Charlotte County Copwatch. I don't know if this is showing up on the phone or not, but we are trying to laser on the car. They made a new law. You can't put it on a building unless you get permission. Not a whole lot of facets here that'll give permission for that.
So let me explain that, Leroy. So this is what happened. So yes, so they wouldn't let me do the sign. Okay, so I couldn't have a sign with "fuck" on it. I literally had to start redacting the "fuck" because they were getting so hostile. And so that's when I realized, okay, I started, as you know, Leroy, you saw it. I started using a real projector and a laser and shining it on buildings because that wasn't a sign and it's not permanent. And that's what led to the federal lawsuit. But before I get to the federal lawsuit, let me finish what happened in Kangaroo Court. Leroy, we did not know when we went to Kangaroo Court on the 4 tickets that there was a thing in the statute for code enforcement in Florida statute where if you have done irreparable harm, Leroy, they can increase the fine to $5,000 per charge.
My God.
Per charge. So Leroy, they tried to give me $5,000 on each charge. They said they were doing me a favor when they brought the first charge down to $1,000. The second charge down to 500, 500, and 500. And Leroy, I'm not going to pay that bullshit. My lawyer was there from Rutherford. They would not allow the Constitution in the room. Leroy, can you believe that shit? They would not allow the Constitution in the Code Nazi court. And I would not pay.
You got pause there a minute. Why did they not allow, what justification, what did they actually say when they said no Constitution allowed in a court of law who's supposed to have the Constitution as its foundation?
I'm gonna pipe in here for a second,
Okay,
because
pipe it,
listening
Liberty,
to
pipe
this, I'll tell you, you want to know who I'm starting to blame, who I'm starting to look at and think that we really may have a cause of action that we need to look deeper into, is the Bar Association. And I don't mean just here in Florida, I mean in every state across the nation. Because who does this? Who creates these ordinances? Lawyers. Who creates the statutes? Lawyers. Who signs off on these at the local level? Lawyers. All of them are violating their oath to the Constitution, and the bar is doing nothing about it.
Absolutely.
Andy and I both got screwed over by the same attorney. Both money stolen from us by the same attorney. Why? Because when we go to the bar to look this attorney up, it shows that she is in good standing. She's a lawyer in good standing. I'm sitting here with a 400+ page bar complaint that was filed against her. That's just one of the bar complaints that I have that was filed against her. This one, over 400 pages. And you know what the bar said? That there was nothing there that rose to probable cause. Nothing that rose to probable cause. She wrote a check, a $2,600 check on an account that she knew was closed. They had a warrant out for her. And somehow that got down to a misdemeanor, trying to figure that out.
What's her name? What's her name? I want her exposed. What is her name and where does she practice out of?
Andy, you want to take it because she took your money too, brother.
Melissa, now I don't know everything. You got more information. So her name was Melissa Waldinger, and it's weird how we found her. It was James Madison Audits, from what I know, was telling all the auditors that, she helped him so she could possibly help you. And I hired her to try to fix the case for filming public officials. And, at first she said, okay, I just need $1,000 to start. So I gave her the $1,000. And there it is. Yes. So I gave her $1,000. And then she cried that she needed another $1,000, and then she never did shit. And Liberty Warrior knows about this. What was weird is when you would talk to her, you would hardly talk about your case. You would talk about her love life, her married life, how everything was fucked up. It's like you were a counselor. It was the most fucked up thing I've ever been through in my life.
Oh yeah, we went through the same exact thing, and about all of her medical. She's talking to us about all of her medical issues.
Yes, it was crazy, man. Oh my God.
I was hoping we would have, and I'm not going to mention any names right now, but I was hoping we were going to be able to have somebody on here this evening that was going to be able to give firsthand knowledge about her ODing and being Baker acted. Now, I did find in this complaint that she had been Baker acted in 2009.
Yes, I saw that. Yep.
What is the Baker Act, Liberty? A lot of people don't know.
So that's basically, mental health watch. They keep you for 72 hours under a mental health watch.
Correct.
She's been
if a lawyer is Baker acted, they must report that to the bar, and the bar will suspend their license, and then they have to go and they have to, ask for their license back, and they've got to, furnish that they're okay. Somehow, even though the bar knew, because again, it was in this 400+ page bar complaint, they didn't even suspend her license over this particular Baker Act. So I don't know what's going on with the bar. And again, I'm pointing the finger at the bar because they're simply not doing their job.
No. And
They're
it's
allowing
corruption
these
at every
people-
level, Liberty. It's corruption at every level. We
Correct.
have it. We have, many police departments are corrupt, many mayor's offices are corrupt, and then the lawyers and the judges are corrupt. So where do we actually get justice? And how do we get justice? How do we turn this around, Liberty? What would you say?
I don't know. I'm going to start looking into. I've got a friend that is in the House. He's in the House, the Florida House, and he is in the he's on the Judicial Committee. And I'm going to try and talk to him and see what can we do to get the bar back under control.
Right. Absolutely.
All right, Leroy, let me finish Code Nazi Court. Leroy, because I did not pay the fines, they put liens on my house for free speech, Leroy. I could not believe it. So here's the good news, Leroy. Once in a great while, you do find good lawyers, and some of you guys know about this. I finally did find a good lawyer, Rutherford Institute out of Washington D.C. They already knew me from before, because the police and sheriff here been trying to charge me for 10 years. They finally did, so I've been under investigation multiple times. People don't know this. You can ask, and they have to tell you. They can redact it, but they have to tell you. And so that's how I know I've been under investigation so many times. It's not even funny, just for doing stories. But Rutherford took it. We went to state court. We won in state court. And then, Leroy, when I did the lasers, I was shining the lasers on the building, fuck the police, fuck the state attorney. It was beautiful, dude. Everybody could see it from 41. They could see it at the bar. They could see it along the river. In that case, I found another lawyer who, I don't know if you know about this, Liberty. That lawyer that took that case went to federal court, and everything was going fine, you guys, okay? But as we're talked about, man, lawyers can fucking turn on you in a heartbeat. Leroy, we were ready to win the case, and they wanted me to sign sign that we won the case, settlement out of court, okay? But Leroy, I wouldn't get any money, and I could never sue Punta Gorda again. Is that lawyer representing me or somebody else?
Right. Blatantly obvious, and that happens constantly. And you're paying for them, and they're not representing you in reality. All right.
Leroy, Rutherford Institute saved my ass when they found out what that lawyer did. They came in, finished the case. I at least got $1,000, and the city had to pay $20,000. And they finally got rid of the law banning free speech. But Leroy, because I won in state court and federal court, I was protesting abortion on a sidewalk. What did they do to me, Leroy?
What do they do?
Turned free speech into disturbing the peace and fucking charged me, jailed me, convicted me, Leroy.
Right. So incredibly wrong. And I got to wrap up this part of our.
Well, real quick, while we're on this, we're on this subject, and before we let Andy go, I just wanted to give you asked about the Baker Act, okay?
Right.
And I just wanted everybody to hear the actual definition. So the individual's behavior must rise to the level of reasonable belief of harm to themselves or someone else. It is a very high bar as it becomes an involuntary commitment until evaled and released by a psychiatrist. So you don't get Baker Act. I mean, well, they're using that now. I will say that the police departments, they have weaponized this.
Right, they weaponized the Baker Act.
So in Florida, we have what's called the Baker Act, which is for that, and then we have Stewart-Marchman Act, which is for drug use. And they have literally weaponized both of these things.
Yep.
They're gonna, if they've got to show up at your house, they're gonna try and find a way to Baker Act you, because then they can red flag you.
Yes, that's correct. Yep.
Right. And this is, again, every one of these are intentional acts to take away our rights and our freedoms and to give more to the government. I mean, for free speech, and the last thing I have for you, Andrew, free speech, you have your houses in jeopardy.
That is correct.
Free speech. How this has been bastardized and weaponized. against people. And here's the thing: I never swear on my channel. I don't swear on my videos. But
Right.
this is a free speech place. Andrew, you say whatever the hell you want. You
Right.
know? And that's free speech, because I may disagree with Andrew, I may disagree with someone else on what they are saying, but I will defend to the death their right to say it, because that's what the First Amendment is about. And that's the opposite of what our society is right now. Cancel culture, cancel culture. Oh, you offend me. I'm offended. I must cancel you. I must shadow ban you. I must end your ability to communicate your perspectives. And I must stifle all the people who want to hear your perspectives, even if I disagree with you. That is evil. And that's something that I am committed to. I know Liberty Warrior is committed to. You are committed to. And with that, I want to then go to our next segment here, where I'm going to be introducing my newest member of the team. So, Andrew, I thank you so much for spending time to join me.
Thank you.
For standing up, not just for your rights, but for my rights, and everyone who is watching this and everyone who isn't watching this. Because when any of us allow a single right to be trampled and violated, that hurts all of us. And one man or woman stands up for our rights, that helps all of us. Liberty, go ahead.
And I'm just going to say that YouTube's biggest and best troll, Mr. Sean Porter, calls him asshole Andy. Why? Because he can be.
That's right.
Right, and he's the first to admit it. Right.
That's correct.
Andy, thank you for coming on. It was great.
Thanks, man.
You.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much, Andy.
See ya.
All right. See ya. And we'll be in touch. We communicate often. And now I want to go to our next segment. Then we're going to have a short call in today, too. If anyone would like to call in after the next segment, it's going to be 5-10 minutes, and then we're going to have a call in for 5 minutes, 10 minutes or so. And so I'd like to bring up our next guest, who is the newest member